Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's Egal Talks Football. We're back again with another video, and let's go straight into the news today. We're going to talk a little bit of Arsenal. We're going to talk a little bit of Manchester United. We're going to talk a little bit of Liverpool. Before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about Arsenal. This threw me off. Guys, the Gyökeres deal is going to get done, but reports from random sources, might as well say ketchup at this point, are reporting that Nicolas Jackson and Ollie Watkins would be Arsenal's backup plan in the case that we did not secure the Gyökeres deal. The Gyökeres deal is going to get done, guys. Stop worrying. This is just people doing what people do, trying to drum up drama and concern for no apparent reason. As for the rest of the news today, there was some news also about Arsenal potentially pulling off a deal that we were looking at a couple months earlier. That is Palhinha. Arsenal went in for Palhinha, and I was quite impressed that this came out because this kind of broke down everything that we needed to know. Arsenal approached Bayern Munich for João Palhinha before the World Cup. Discussions happened, but an agreement was not reached, as Arsenal could not get around to the 26 million that Bayern Munich wanted to offload him. So Arsenal were not willing to pay 26 million for Palhinha. We ended up getting with Norgard, and yeah, you know what? I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's a bad idea overall. So that is what happened there. Gyökeres deal is going to happen, and we even got an update from Gyökeres. He's going to be on a flight headed to London at about 3 o'clock, so it should already be there. Should already be on his way. This was reported an hour ago that Gyökeres' house is under some moves, and you had a moving van there with some furniture moved onto the moving van. So very interesting situation over there. Overall, the Gyökeres stuff, everything around that is pretty much sorted. Arsenal are also looking to sell some players. We spoke about Fabio Vieira, Zinchenko, Reece Nelson to Fulham, just so on and so forth. But the main topics of discussion today are really just circling around David Ornstein and everything going on with Manchester United, Brentford, Liverpool. And I know this is an Arsenal video, but I kind of want to talk about these also. So since there's not too much Arsenal news going on, let's get on to some of these. You got Hugo Ekitike to Liverpool. Now, this whole situation is very interesting. First, you had Newcastle went in for Hugo Ekitike, and they offered 75 million euros, right? Then you have a situation where Liverpool basically said, we also want Ekitike, but if you're going to give us Isak, we'll take Isak off your hands for 120 million. So then they get a bid rejected from Bayern for Luis Diaz, and then they go to Newcastle, say, hey, here's 120 million for Isak, or we're going to take Ekitike off your hands, whichever one you want. Either way, you're not having both Ekitike and Alexander Isak. You decide. And then Newcastle basically said, okay, if that's the case, then Liverpool, you can have Ekitike. And now Liverpool have officially made a formal inquiry, and they're going to be making a bid for Hugo Ekitike as a 23-year-old. Alexander Isak will be staying at Newcastle, which I think is a massive W for Newcastle, as they're keeping their player. Plus, they also already have an alternative lined up in Wissa. Now, Wissa to Newcastle puts a sticky situation for the whole Mbeumo situation, and puts a timeline on Manchester United now having to go quicker to get their deal done for Bryan Mbeumo. And lo and behold, Liverpool are now in advanced talks with Ekitike, and lo and behold, Bryan Mbeumo to Manchester United is a done deal. You now have a £70 million deal for Bryan Mbeumo to Manchester United, and all of these are somehow linked. First things first, Manchester United finally get their man Bryan Mbeumo. I think he's a good player. Scored 20 plus goals in the Premier League last season. Manchester United need goal scorers. He's actually quite young, 26 years old. Even though he looks older due to him with his bald head. Of course, he looks a little bit older, but he's a quality player. I think Manchester United kind of overpaid in the past for players, but 65 to 70 million. It is the Manchester United tax. You're always going to pay a little bit more, but I think they've done okay. And this is the going rate now for players of that quality, where Ekitike for 80 million euros, it's going to cost more than that. Because of Newcastle's bid, Liverpool's now going to have to pay more. That's where they've taken the L here. As much as Hugo Ekitike is a quality, young, up-and-coming player, his timeline doesn't associate with Mo Salah and Van Dijk. It's more with the Florian Wirtz. So there's Liverpool are safe, age-proofing their squad, getting younger talents in. I think he's a quality player. Very exciting signing for Liverpool. I would be excited if I'm a Liverpool fan with Hugo Ekitike coming in. And as a rival, I'm quite excited that they're not getting Alexander Isak, to say so myself. As for the Bryan Mbeumo deal, what does that have to do now with Wissa? Does Wissa also happen to Newcastle? Because Newcastle need another backup center forward now that Callum Wilson's gone. They couldn't get João Pedro. They can't get Hugo Ekitike. If they can't get Wissa also, it's going to be very interesting. But if they do, what about Brentford? Brentford now have lost their manager, their two top goal scorers, and their captain. Brentford is literally getting ripped apart. I fear for them. I think they might get relegated this upcoming season. As for Newcastle, if they get Wissa, that's a decent third option, because at this point they're on their third option with all the players that they've looked at, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Personal terms have been agreed. Personal terms also need to be agreed, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But in my opinion, Newcastle found a good bounce back with that situation there. So yeah, the main thing for me is, though, Liverpool are not going to get Alexander Isak, and shocker, Alexander Isak was not for sale in the first place. As for Hugo Ekitike, Liverpool got themselves a quality player, but he's kind of raw. They're going to have to develop him, and you can't expect him to be the finished article when he walks in the door at Liverpool. He's still needs to improve on his finishing. He has the technical ability and the skill set to become a quality player at the top level. But let's see. The scary thing about Liverpool is they let players land, and they don't just throw them out the window. And then finally, to end off the video, to keep it a little bit more Arsenal relevant, there is a player that Arsenal are after, and Liverpool are also after, which is Rodrygo. And the situation with Rodrygo seems to have gotten a little bit different. I've seen a report, and it's a very interesting report to say the least, that Rodrygo to Arsenal have abandoned their pursuit for Rodrygo, reported by this gentleman here. They've reported that Arsenal have abandoned their pursuit for Rodrygo, and I see this was the journalist who reported it. Where is it? Here it is. Claims coming out that Arsenal are abandoning their approach to Rodrygo. This guy's speaking in Spanish. I don't know a lick of Spanish, so I wouldn't be able to give you any insight on what he's saying, but that's pretty much the report that's being reported. And Rodrygo is being linked to Liverpool at this moment in time by everybody. So we'll see if Rodrygo ends up at Liverpool, but it does look like Arsenal might be stepping away from the Rodrygo talks at this moment in time. I wouldn't panic. I think we need to make some sales, and then we'll find out what happens with that. And in the meanwhile, Madueke to Arsenal most likely will get announced today, potentially. It's either Madueke or what do you call it? Either Madueke or Mosquera. One of them are getting announced, and then Gyökeres is probably going to get announced on the weekend. But for now, I'll leave you guys to do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys, let me know what you guys think about Manchester United getting Bryan Mbeumo. Let me know what you guys think about Liverpool potentially getting Ekitike, Newcastle getting Wissa, and just some of the other stuff around Arsenal. But for now, I'll leave you guys to do. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what it is.